Good evening, everybody. Today I am in discussion with Vikram Malhotra, CEO of Abundantia, and Shikhaa Sharma, the production head of the studio, who will share with us their success of Sherni, which has received great reviews across sections. Abundantia has been backing incredible content with a great deal of focus on female first stories, including their films Shakuntala Devi, Durgamati, recently released Sherni, and their upcoming films Chori. The studio has been churning out incredible content, including both series and films that has an impressive lineup of content for 21-22, including films like Sherni, Ram Setu, and many more. Vikram, I start my discussion with you. I'm meeting you after a long, long time. Yeah, and I'm extremely happy to see the kind of content that Abundantia has brought for us to kind of see and enjoy. So, while I know there are a lot of movies that you have launched, the current uh, launch that has happened, Sherni, that has taken the entire OTT world by storm. It's not only the content, it's also about the peripheral sound that you created about it, you know. So if you can tell me a little bit about it, and tell me a little bit about the stories that you are looking at launching for OTT in the near future.
Thank you, Vijay. It's so wonderful to see you and talk to you again after a bit of a longish gap. And thank you also for your kind words towards Abundancia and our films, especially our latest release, which is Sherni. Uh, it's been an incredible journey over the last few years, and in many ways, a validation of our purpose of creating insightful, engaging, progressive content for the younger audience, the more internationally aligned audience out of our country and beyond. Uh, Sherni is a prime example of one such story. A talented writer, Astha, a progressive and disruptive filmmaker, Amit, a creative and development head like Shikha, who has a strong sensibility of backing progressive content and content that's more than just entertaining, and a talent like Vidya Balan who embodies everything that one can imagine in a versatile actor and more. Uh, these are the key ingredients that in many ways typify everything that we do at Abundancia, and a sort of uh, 360-degree view on what constitutes high quality storytelling. Uh, I love how you say that it's taken the world of OTT by storm, not only for its content, but also for how it was connected with the audience. One of the key things that Shikha and I always discuss is that the objective of our storytelling is two simple aspects. Tell the best story possible and make it connect with the widest audience possible. We don't come from a theory that high quality content is the purview of an exclusive few who have the sensibility to do that. I mean, look at some of the work that Shikha was highlighting in the pre-chat. Films like Airlift, Toilet Ek Prem Katha, smaller films like Noor, Shakuntala Devi, our series work like Breathe. These are examples where high quality stories have punched above their weight and connected with an audience that's disproportionately higher to what it seemed like when these films and shows were on paper. When we said about greenlighting Sherni or making Sherni, it was never about making a film for only those who are environmentally conscious or only those who are looking at understanding or a tale of man animal conflict, or for that matter, a story with a female protagonist. It was about an issue which is relevant. It was about a part of our society which often gets ignored but is important. And then the challenge was, given this high quality film, how do you make sure that it makes for an inclusive audience? How do you take the film and its promise to the comfort zone of the audience, especially in the world of cluttered OTT, rather than expect them to drop everything and, press play on their home screen of a device or television. So I'm happy to round off this by saying that Sherni has been such a fulfilling example of a brilliantly told story, matched by very strong enabling on the production side, including the lead cast and other actors, as well as an impactful outreach program in the form of marketing, which took the film to its highest potential of audience.
Right. Shikha, you would like to substantiate this?
Absolutely, I agree with whatever Vikram is saying. And now in these times, there is nothing which is called indie. Like I think when we started the chat, I think we were discussing that with the progress, the audience are changing, the filmmakers, the way we want to tell stories and the kind of stories they want to, have a look at. So I think it's changing with the way audience is changing. And I think we're in a really good time where we are able to tell these stories, which some years ago we would have, shied away from, probably thinking whether audience are actually ready for it or not. So I think even the social media boom and the, internet has brought in such a big boom into the industry and the kind of stories that the storytellers want to tell now.
Right. Shikha, my next question goes to you. I start with you. So, what are the lessons learned as production and content creation company from the past 1 year? Where is the industry headed in the next couple of years?
I think we are right on track as of now. I think it looks like the audiences are ready for very innovative, progressive storytelling, and I think it's just going to get better with the kind of reach that we are having right now. Even when theaters open, I think this is going to, we'll continue to make films which are absolutely pot boilers to, still having something to say in it, still having a meaningful message or an impact that the audience are looking for now, and it's not just going to be senseless cinema.
Right. Vikram? Vikram, do you think Sherni is a success because the market has become more mature? We have become more understanding towards meaningful content, and this is the pandemic which has brought that around. You just substantiated that in the first question, but if you would like to elaborate a little bit more.
So I'll take your question and answer it in two parts. The first part, has the market become more mature? Is there a market for meaningful or intelligent entertainment? If you go back the 100+ years history of cinema in our country, there are cinematic gems that are littered across these decades, right? Which always means that in a country where entertainment and storytelling runs in the lifeblood of the nation, there's always been a market for good stories. It's just that either as filmmakers, as content creators, we fail to evolve in tune and in tandem with our audience or as fast as they were evolving, or we just simply chose to be more comfortable with the kind of stories that came to us. In many ways, the advent of OTT, and now comes the second part of this, has suddenly opened the floodgates for access to good content. You now sit in the comfort of your home, your car, your office desk, your bed, and watch shows and films from all over the world. That 2-inch barrier of subtitles is overcome very easily, which is a situation where the quality bar for content is getting progressively higher. It's obvious and natural that that pushes creators of this country also to up their game, because quality succeeds over everything else. It's been our credo that high quality content is commercially successful content. They're not mutually exclusive. If you look at any other successful business or industry in the world, these are not mutually exclusive parameters. You don't have a substandard product or brand or a substandard service consistently delivering high proportionate successful value for the creators. It doesn't happen ever. So Shikha used a very good word here called pot boilers. And I'd like to extend on that to say that we must, as a nation, understand that today's audience is beyond just entertainment for the sake of entertainment. They love a good laugh, they love a good cry, they love music. We are the only country that is kind of genre agnostic. Everybody watches everything. Sometimes there's everything in one film. But it's also the time for content and cinema and shows which are stimulating, which are inspiring, which are impactful, which are relevant, which are important, and they work at various levels rather than just transactional entertainment. The pandemic has shown us that people sit at home and need to get their entertainment fix. So they have sampled OTT platforms. They're consuming content by the hours every day, as is also seen in the exponential growth of platform numbers here. Um, it's a matter of time before demand comes back to theaters, but you're going to see a situation where all parameters will thrive. And I believe that in tune with what we are working at Abundancia is the key to upping the game for everyone in the business.
Vikram, you were one of the first ones to take to OTT, yeah. And I would say you've experimented with the format to a certain extent. You've experimented with a big star cast. So, what does that mean for the content formats in the near future? Do you think people will experiment with more bolder, not only formats but storylining as well?
You know, we at Abundancia don't believe in looking at content as platform dependent. We look at what stories need to be told and where are those stories best served to our audience. If it's on a device that she carries in her bag, if it's on a device that she shares with her family in the living room, or if it's on a platform where she takes her family and friends out in community viewing in theaters, we'd go where our audience is. Uh, to your point of, is storytelling going to be bold or bolder, or is that going to be platform dependent? My answer is simple. Storytelling needs to engage and connect. Now, if the manner of telling that story is bold or aggressive, so be it. What has Sherni taught us? And it's a big learning for us, which we further started building into fare that's lined up. A hero doesn't need to always rave and rant. There is a purpose in a resolute, silent approach as well. And we saw it earlier in Airlift, where a reluctant hero rose when the moment demanded, and people loved a superstar like Akshay Kumar, even when he wasn't, as people like to believe, beats up 300 people in a film and, does the classic hero giri. So I think, going back to my earlier point, it's all about what we are able to serve in a manner that connects with our audience.
Shikha, your points on that? Where do you think the industry is headed?
Like we already said, I think it's headed in a meaningful and impactful storytelling. Um, like I think all the audience are looking for something meaningful. Be it even if it's a large canvas film, but there has to be something substance has to be there.
Do you think people have woken up to meaningful content and taken notice of the OTT potential in the last 1 year?
Especially, yes, in the last 1 year, because, like I said, India is a film and entertainment crazy market, right? That's our, going to the movies is our national pastime. So imagine a situation where that was taken away from us, and we were made to sit in our homes, and theaters were shut, and you weren't getting too much fresh programming on TV. So clearly the attention shifted towards platforms that were serving fresh programming and interesting stuff, and which have hundreds of thousands of hours of content on each of these large services. So clearly it's bound to have an effect of forced sampling, and now it's to a point where habit formation has happened, and we are going to continue to see consumption across all these platforms. Though you must keep in mind that streaming is not a development that came to us in the pandemic. It's been around the world for a decade and a half. It has been in India for the last 5 years
Right.
or so, but clearly the last 1.5 year accelerated that adoption.
Right. Right. Uh, Shikha, I have kind of noticed that the slate looks like it's very, very women skewed. You've kind of promoted women talent. You've talked about stories which is central to women, Personally, it makes me very happy, and that they are the blockbusters, they are the winners, that makes us feel more proud of us. So is it a conscious effort to showcase these real life heroes into a larger canvas and make people like us think that we can also do what they can do?
Yes and no, but I think as a company, we are drawn towards these stories. I think women, it's wrong to say women centric films. I would rather say these are the women who are shouldering these stories, openly, and now they can, so I think we're in the times where we can tell these stories beautifully, because also I think the independent women have come forth. Now they are the ones who are watching a lot of content on the streaming side, even in the theaters. Not only just them, even the youngsters, there's a huge market of young adult movie watchers. So I think, and it's become progressive. I think there are stories which we wanted to tell for a very, very long time. And I think this is the time to tell all those stories. And I think there are so many women directors coming with these beautiful stories. There are so many technicians as women, who have come now ahead. So yes, I think we kind of attract this talent, and also these are the stories which excite us. But having said that, it's not just the women centric again, stories that we are here to tell.
Vikram, your thoughts?
Absolutely. We don't greenlight films or shows with an approach saying that this has a male or a female actor in the lead. Uh, some part of us naturally gravitates towards stories with strong central female characters, or being told rather through a female gaze. That's what matters to us more. It's not about a cardboard character and a cultured setting in which you put a woman actor or a woman director, and then say that it just becomes superficially that. It's more the gaze that they bring. Like, I strongly believe nobody could have told the story of a complicated genius lady like Shakuntala Devi better than the female gaze that Anu Menon brought onto it, as a storyteller and a mother herself. Nobody could have written a story like Sherni as much as the ethos of what Astha brought to it. And it also comes to the fact that that female gaze is very strongly represented by Shikha and her team at Abundancia. Uh, but it's not about there being a set pattern about what we are doing, about stories that have women in the lead, etc. There's enough and more that has men in the lead, but has very strong female characters. I mean, the character played by Nimrat Kaur in Airlift, or Bhumi Pednekar in Toilet Ek Prem Katha, or by Nitya Menon in Breathe. These are all extremely strongly anchored women characters. So we've been pursuing this sort of let the best stories, best characters come to fore rather than look at some sort of gender bias. And I will tell you that it also helps that more than 60% of our team is led by women. So that's That's the added at-home benefit that we have on all these stories.
So after the success of Sherni and Shakuntala Devi, are there any lessons that you would like to kind of share with our audience? Any new formats, any new thinking, any do's and don'ts for some of the people who might be experimenting with these kind of formats, content in the near future?
Do you mean lessons for creators or
Creators, lessons for creators. Yeah.
we've always believed that, but we now like to double underline it. Do not underestimate the mind and the ability of our audience. Just because they're not asking for something doesn't mean they don't feel the need for a certain kind of story coming their way. Uh, Stay true to your heart, stay true to your core, tell the story that you want to, but tell it in the best manner and in the most inclusive manner. These are the lessons I take back from these two films. Shikha will have more closer home.
No, I think
Your thoughts? Your
we've
thoughts?
been doing this. I think when Vikram was giving examples of these films, one example of Toilet Ek Prem Katha was coming to my mind, where if you see, it's not like woman led, or the protagonist Akshay and Bhumi, both of them, we had a very important topic, which was of sanitation. So it wasn't like we needed a woman to tell that story. It was, of course, it was about women, it was about sanitation, but we needed both the protagonists to actually take the story forward. So yeah, I think we've been trying to do these stories for a while. I think now, since it just seems like a pattern in a way, because these are the stories that find us and we find them. But yeah, I think the focus has been clear on
Shikha, my
on
next question.
yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So my next question is, what kind of content in the near future do I see you guys doing?
So we have a lineup. Our next film is so we've actually started this new vertical called Psych, which focuses mainly on horror and paranormal side. We have a next film called Puri.
PSYCH.
Like,
Yes, Psych.
like, okay.
Yeah, and we
Sorry, Shikha.
our next film is under that vertical. It's called Chori. It's led by Nusrat Barucha in the lead, a male director. We have this show called Hush Hush, the director of which is Tanuja Chandra. It is something that we developed in-house and got Tanuja on board to take it forward. It has 5 female protagonists. We have Juhi Chawla, Aisha Julka, there is Soha Ali Khan, there is Karishma Tana, and Kritika Kamra.
And Shahana.
And Shahana Goswami. So, yes. So that's on the digital front. Of course, we have Ram Setu.
Okay. No. Right, 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 right. What are some of the lessons that you've learned from these successful ventures?
From
the successful shows, movies that you've launched in the past, what are some of the lessons that you've learned?
I think it's just given us more confidence to tell the stories that we wanted to tell. With the audience liking for it, it just encourages us more, that it seems like we're in the right direction. So I mean, we couldn't be happier, telling the stories that we are. So I think lessons learned have been good. Lessons learned have also been that I think we should keep true to the storytelling, to the genre, to the content that we believe in.
Right, right, right. Vikram, South actor Suriya has partnered with Evandentia to remake its film Sura Rai, is it? Yeah, Sura Rai Potturu in Hindi. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about this partnership? And are there many more such partnerships in the anvil?
We're very selective and have been very selective about who we partner with. And we've been very honored and privileged that uh, an actor of Suriya's caliber, a producer of 2D Entertainment's prowess, has chosen to partner with us for the Hindi remake of this gem of a film that they produced and released last year. For me, despite all our own work, I rate Suriya Potru as the film of last year. It's a true gem. I can't get enough of that film. Uh, in many ways, it is furthering the philosophy that Shikha was just talking about. The kind of films that we want to work with, the kind of creators we want to work with. It's a relationship with Suriya and his team that we cherish. Uh, the icing on the cake is that Sudha, who directed this wonderful Tamil film, will also helm the Hindi remake. And we are always open to partnerships with like minded creators, but partnerships that allow both of us to synergize and grow as we progress. So we're super excited about this one.
Shikha, your thoughts on this? How are you looking forward to this partnership? Do I see a special dash of your brand of work in there?
So I think what we were discussing a while ago, saying pot boilers, but yet with some thought in it. If you've seen the original, I think it's so inspiring, and it is so it's big canvas. Yet the story has so much to say. Again, strong characters. There's friendship. There's genre. I mean, genre itself is exciting, but there are themes like friendship. There is love. There is achievement. All of that made into one. So I think it kind of ticks so many boxes, and yet it's so sensible. Like it's so entertaining. I think it's one of the best films, like Vikram said, of last year, and we are so excited to actually uh, adapt it with Sudha, especially, who's a great creator, and she just knows the audience in and out.
And again, more people are going to tell us female first because it's helmed by a woman and it has such a strong female lead character in it. So
Yeah.
I think we're very happy. It just extends our brand of storytelling further.
Right, right. Okay. My last question of the day is OTT has democratized entertainment more so in the pandemic period. How is Abundantia tapping into this potential? And what does your future roadmap look like?
I'm going to take the part about how
I'll read
we've
it
tapped.
off again.
No, that's all right. I'll take the part about where we've tapped into this. So we've been hard at work every single day since March last year when the first set of restrictions or lockdowns hit our country or the world at large. Uh, Hard at work in our own way. We've been fortunate that we've had 3 feature films and 1 premium series released during these last, actually, literally 12 months to the date today. Breathe released 10th July 2020. So it's been a period of great learning. It's been a period of survival on one end and growth on the other. It's also been a period of improving our skills as storytellers, as producers, as enablers to to work around and within so many challenges. And I think these last 15 months, in many ways from March last year to now, have left an indelible impression personally on myself. I really cherish this period despite all its challenges because of what it's given to Abundancia and all of us. And
Right.
we just hope to, keep our foot on the gas pedal and try and do even more of what we love doing. Uh, that's the key takeout for us from this, and how we are building. going to request Shikha to tell you more about, how we're focusing on developing and writing and adaptations.
Yeah, I think, like Vikram said, we were actually incubating a lot of content which is now up for everybody to watch for a very, very long time. And I think we continue to do the same. We have a lot right now which is under development, with lots of filmmakers, lots of new talent, lots of talent which is known and up there. Um, yeah, I think, in pandemic we got a lot of time to also, think about what is the kind of content which we would like to go with, because I think this was all there. But what also kind of give us a little bit time to think and saying, are we, are we going in the right direction? And I think the team has been at work for a long time, and there's a lot of exciting stuff that I think I mentioned, and there is a couple of things that I didn't, which Vikram, if you would like to mention, which is upcoming with adaptations.
We've always believed that
Vikram, about your upcoming projects?
Sure. So, Shika mentioned Chori being our next lineup. We have our big spectacle tentpole film for next year, which is Ram Setu. We have Anu Menon's next films with Suresh Triveni. There's Hush Hush. There's our tentpole original series, The End. And then there's some really exciting books that we have acquired, starting with Keepers of the Kal Chakra from Ashwin, who's a blockbuster best-selling writer, to the Rita Ferreira trilogy by Vish, YA books like Along Came a Spider and Excess Baggage, and our period drama Men Who Killed Gandhi continues to evoke interest internally and externally. So it's an exciting mix and array of content and possibilities that we're sitting with.
Thank you so much speaking to us, Vikram. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shikha. And I wish you all the best. Yeah. And I loved all the content that you produced so far. Believe me, all of them have really struck a chord with me, whatever, whether it is Baby, whether it is Airlift. I think they were a straight, right from the day one, they were a hit. I would say the way you've adapted it, the way you've told the story to Sherni today. I think they all stand testimony to the fact of your vision and your team's expertise and work in that direction.